everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be doing a review of The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. This is a retelling of the Trojan War from one of the girls, Briseis's. Not only her perspective, it's definitely her story, but it does trade off at points with Achilles' story as well. Out of all the books that I have read, and out of the ones that come to mind for, recently being read, this is the one I definitely have the most mixed thoughts about. We see, as I said, Briseis immediately, she's a character from the Iliad who is a queen of her own city, and we see her city ransacked, held captive, and taken by Achilles and his men. So we immediately see her become a slave and be awarded to Achilles, and we hear her story throughout this. This book is very confusing to me because part of it makes me want to be like, read it, it's so good, and another part of me wants to be like, maybe don't know. So this, I'm gonna say my reasons why I don't like it as well, and it's very much so each to their own, a personal opinion kind of thing. Basically, I think the story was fantastic. I think Pat did an amazing job and really did Briseis justice in her story. The thing I didn't like and I didn't expect, there is swearing in this book. And I know to some people they might be like, really? That's it? And it'll be really trivial, but for me, I don't personally agree with it. I don't personally see any need for it or any reason. Now, in day-to-day life, do I swear? Yeah. Does it feel good when you do? Yeah. But that doesn't mean, I don't know. I really like to be in the book. I like it when a book makes me not realize my reality in that way, when it just takes me away and I am wherever it was. These words, I would bet a lot, didn't exist when the Iliad was written, when this story was set. So every time there was a swear, it was extremely jarring to me. Like, I was maybe like, oh, okay. And I had to work to get back into the story, which I didn't like. Out of all of the retellings I've read of the Iliad, this one was easily the most descriptively grotesque. Okay? I mean, we know that there's women held captive. We know, unfortunately, what happens to them, but this, there was no dancing around it or no hinting or alluding to it. It was very point blank, and you know what? Quite often I appreciate that in a writer, just though with the particular content that it was, I was like, oh, didn't need to know that. But then again, just the story, I was sucked into the story. I kept getting really upset at the different swears, but then I would just really get sucked in the next moment and be like, okay. Pat has another book coming out in August, I think, The Women of Troy, and it's one of my most anticipated of this year, and I'm like, will I still read it? I think she did an amazing job of putting the story together. I gave this 3 stars. If the swears hadn't been there, it would have been 4 stars. It could be me nitpicking, but I genuinely feel like the fact that it swears, I think it restricts the demographic, because of that, to me. I mean, yes, with the content of this, there would be an age restriction anyway, but to me that heightens it. Some of the ways, it wasn't just, I keep going to use examples, I'm like, I can't. It wasn't just the way, it wasn't just the fact that the swear was there at points, it was the way it was used, and the way it just was really just not classy, I guess. And that sounds ridiculous because, soldiers doing these horrible things. No, classy isn't what you're expecting, but hopefully you know what I mean. I'm hopeful for the Women of Troy because if there isn't swearing, especially to the extent that there was, I would have really enjoyed this book. All in all, I still didn't not enjoy it. I just know I definitely didn't get the most out of it that I could have. It's definitely give and take. Overall, I think her writing was really good. I really liked the layout of the story. It was really concise. It flowed really well. It was always very clear, I found, when it was moving from Briseis' story into Achilles' perspective. And genuinely, I really like the story. What I will say is, if foul language is fine with you in books, and that, obviously each to their own, definitely read it because it's really good. If that doesn't bother you, and if it won't throw you out of the book, read it. It's really, really good. But if you think it would jar you, or it would distract you or throw you off or upset you, then just don't. Especially keeping in mind, specifically related to sexual things, it is very, not extremely descriptive, but again, just kind of rough about how it's spoken about, and just, it doesn't beat around any bushes. It gets straight to the point, and then sometimes it's a really hard to read way, and in some ways that might be good because it's the reality of it. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts. So yeah, 3 stars for The Silence of the Girls. I'm thinking about potentially doing a mythology collection video, just showing the different books that I have and what I thought of each of them. Kind of just a little chat, sit down coffee video about it. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. And until then, stay safe and take care. Bye!